we're going to talk about some fragrances that are super strong, that are going to leave an amazing sillage. A lot of new fragrances I wanted to talk, so let's go. This is Clémence, I talk about fragrance, so welcome back. Fragrances, I'm gonna give you my top 1 winter fragrances though that I'm wearing since years and years and years and never get bored of, but I really want to take this occasion to talk about the new fragrances that were launched for this winter that I really enjoy wearing at the moment. And I'm gonna give you also 2 alternatives that are super cheap for people that have a budget that is a little bit, well, they don't want to spend much on fragrances, which is fair enough, you know. On all the fragrances I'm going to show you today, that's probably the one I'm wearing the most at the moment. It's Maison Crivelli Oud Cadenza, and this is an exclusivity from Harrods. This is part of the Oud collection of Maison Crivelli. So they have Oud Stallion, that I would say it's more classic, more masculine, very strong as well. You have Oud Maracuja, that is probably the most popular one at the moment. It's a pleasant oud, I would say a little bit more masculine with a vibrant, juicy note at the start. I think it's passion fruit. It's very nice. It's just a little bit more common to me, but I still really like it. Oud Cadenza, love at first sniff. I would say compared to the other 2 oud of the collection, it's maybe a little bit more feminine. The whole line, I would say it's pleasant oud. I don't really smell a very harsh natural oud in these fragrances. However, the depth of the fragrance and how rich and deep they are is astonishing. Compared to a lot of fragrance brands that I smelled recently, this is probably the fragrances that had really oily, buttery depth in the scent that is really interesting, even though it's really expensive because, for example, like a 50 milliliters is £220. I kind of understand why the hype is there, even though I think it's a bit expensive. I don't know if you know Maison Crivelli, but it's one of the most hyped fragrance brands at the moment. Most of them are very timeless to me, but they all have this projection. They're also one of the most sold fragrance house in Harrods at the moment, which is crazy because I wouldn't have put a penny on that brand at the beginning. Done by Jordi Fernandez. If you don't know the perfumer, he did a lot of Ex Nihilo, he did all the collection, and he also did one of my favorite leathery fragrance, which is Elegance Cuirée by Plume Impression. That fragrance is a sweet oud, pleasant, creamy, enveloping, thick. It smells like dates, which is a fruity note that smells nearly sticky. It really gives a lot of density to a scent. It's not like a fruity note that is effervescent, fresh, you know. No, dates is sticky, it's honeyed, it's full on. It's one of my favorite fruit to eat and to smell. So I just really love the fact that it gives something a little bit more mysterious, sensual, like you're in Morocco or Turkish, whatever, you know. It makes me think of that. I really like it. Caramel, but it's not a super sweet caramel, so don't worry, it doesn't smell like super girly and stuff like that. Saffron, that gives a bit the luxurious spicy note. Burnt caramel, spicy note, really nice. Cinnamon is really present to me. This is the first thing that I smell. When I smelled the fragrance, I was like, oh, maybe it's too much on the cinnamon note, so I was a bit on the fence, but it really smells like something that you're gonna wear during Christmas, at least for winter holiday. I'm going skiing, so it's gonna be perfect. Cocoa butter, so it doesn't really feel like chocolate, but you have this gourmand side of it. It's absolutely incredible. I wore that to go on a restaurant with my boyfriend. I felt sexy, I felt charismatic, envelope. It was cold, but this kind of give me the warmth that I'm looking for. Super sexy. I love that. I don't know how people can not like this fragrance, because at the same time it doesn't feel too edgy. New fragrance by Electimus, and it's called Caspian Cherry. I love Electimus. I think they have this antique rum charismatic vibe going on, and usually they know how to make a fragrance a bit edgy. Maybe like they use the woody note and the patchouli in a very harsh way. Sometimes that gives something very charismatic to me, and usually their fragrances are the one that projects the most, I would say, in my collection. So you know, I was curious to smell. This fragrance is probably the most soft, but in a strong way. Comment on dit? Velours. Velvety. Black cherry, but with amaretto notes. Amaretto, that is a liquor that is derived from apricot, make it smell more almondish. Dark chocolate, coffee, honey, and a bit of white chocolate. It's super gourmand, but at the same time it's not sugary. I think this is gonna be one of the most pleasing fragrance in the range. I would say with Mercurial Cashmere, that are super easy to wear. It's an easy love to me, but it's strong and it's a cherry that really stand out compared to all the cherry that I smell. The boozy licorice, not really licorice, but you know, like this liquor note is really, for me, great in the fragrance. Coconut that you can smell a lot, but it doesn't really feel tropical. It's just super creamy. I was expecting like a very patchouli, woody cherry. Not at all. If I compare it to another black cherry that is Carmina by Creed, it feels much more powdery and girly to me. It does. It really screams feminine. Here, it's more unisex to me and it's more boozy. I 100% time prefer this, to be fair. Even though I like the powdery Creed, I wore it a lot. This for me, just for the thick texture, I'm dying for this. Next is Les Eaux Primordiales, and the fragrance is called Ambre Superfluide. Compared to the two first one, we remove the creamy side. It's actually something that feels a bit more airy to me. It does feel a bit more lighter, but it's strong, it's very strong, but it's just, you will see the texture is not buttery, is not oily. It has something very fresh, and this is because this amber accord is given mainly by this cold stone wax, benzoin and vanilla mix, aromatic freshness with fir, the apple that as well gives something a bit fresh, light and a bit more airy to the scent. It feels more synthetic like that than the two other one, and I think that was, they really wanted to be like a projection beast, ambery, kind of more airy and uplifting. So I understand the synthetic side of it. However, just to let you know, it feels more synthetic. A bit balsamic, tobacco that feels more like a leaves earthy tobacco, which is really nice, cardamom. To me, this one feels more like an ambery that is more easy to wear for a male. However, you know, I don't really care. Me, I do wear that like this. I've smelled this kind of apple, kind of amber before. To be honest, I really smelled Baccarat Rouge at first sight, but I prefer the ambery and uplifted touch of that fragrance. With the time, and I have to warn you of that, the sillage feels powdery. It does stay forever, great sillage, but it feels powdery. And I nearly smell a bit of a rosy touch to it with the time. Oh, I didn't spray that in the good. Oops. I've put this fragrance in my favorite release for fall, and I'm literally putting it again here because I wore that so much and I was so pleased with that fragrance. I keep wearing it. It's 54 by Jusbox, the fragrance that I've been done in collaboration with this brand and the perfume guy. That's the best I've ever smelled in terms of collaboration with content creator. Is the best. Patchouli is retro, vintage, just like you're in a 70s club, and that's the whole philosophy of this fragrance. You want to be like feeling a bit sweaty, tobacco like, you're smoking a cigarette, you drinking your pina colada in a nightclub in the 70s. It's crowded, it's sweaty, it feels psychedelic with the patchouli, this wet soil kind of smell. It's exactly that. Put a bit of gourmand note with dark chocolate and you got it. To be fair, I have like a passion for 70s and 60s retro atmosphere. I listen to a lot of psychedelic rock and roll. So for me, that puts me in the mood. I love this, and the trail and the projection, literally, I spray this 4 times maximum, and it's not usually me. Usually me, I'm like oversprayer. With that fragrance, 4 times is enough because I feel I'm gonna disturb everyone. Next is a new fragrance by Jeroboam, Your Oudness. There is an exclusivity, I think, from Harrods. It's a oud that feels natural, and I think the François Hénin explained it actually, that the oud that they use feels a bit like fresher, has this lemony aspect to it. You can really smell the oud, for me, like a very raw oud, but not too animalic. It doesn't really feel dirty or stuff like that. It really feels a bit cold, and the bergamot really stand out here. It's an aromatic kind of oud with a lot of saffron. It's kind of classic, you know. It's more easy to wear on a guy because of the aromatic side of it. When you smell a oud, you have two types of oud. The warm, spicy oud that feels a bit more animalic, intense, maybe dirty. And you have the oud that feels like a cold oud. You know, in Middle Eastern, it's very popular to have this, usually it's rose oud or geranium oud mix that have like an aromatic side with mint. This one is a bit like that to me. It feels cold. It's not super imposing, but I think you can really smell the facet of the leather. And maybe I would have loved a bit more creativity, but I still love that oud. That's the fragrance actually that I've been wearing religiously every winter, that I would always recommend to you if you don't know what to get, if you're new to niche fragrances. You have to put your nose on this fragrance brand, and its matière première is specifically Encens Suave. That is an incense fragrance that has a bit of a gourmand touch with vanilla without being sugary at all. It's all the focus is on the incense. You know, Aurélien Guichard, that is the perfumer of the brand, he loves to take in this brand one ingredient and magnify it, beautifying it with ingredient around, but the focus will always stay on this ingredient. Here the focus is on incense. It doesn't feel like a cold incense. It feels like a warm, charismatic, a bit waxy, resinous, without being unpleasant. You know, it's not this kind of churchy incense. Here it feels warm and addictive, and this is the kind of fragrance that you smell and you just want to smell it again and again. It feels really modern. Actually, I would put it in the same category of something like Fucking Fabulous from Tom Ford, but I do prefer the density and the depth and the richness and the everything of that fragrance compared to Fucking Fabulous. Still love Fucking Fabulous, but I don't want to give one more penny to Tom Ford. Fragrances, sorry. Suits men and women and anyone perfectly. So trust me, this is probably my favorite incense of all time. I want to give you, like I said, two options that are gonna be in the same kind of atmosphere, all the fragrance that I presented to you today, but very cheap, but very nice. You know, you can do fragrances that are very affordable, but very nice as well. And the two ones I'm gonna show you are staple in my collection, things that I bought and that I think are absolutely incredible for their price. Of course, it smells more synthetic. You don't have the richness and the depth and the density and the oiliness that you're gonna smell in, for example, Crivelli, Studio 54, Jeroboam. No, you're not gonna have that. But for the price, it's a great bargain. Ghost, that is probably the most feminine one of the two that I'm gonna show you. It's a cherry white floral. If you like cherry like Caspian Cherry and you want something in that vibe for very cheap, this is super cheap and it's amazing. I love the packaging. I think it's cute. It's not the most classy, but fuck yeah, it's cute. Almondish, a bit like Caspian Cherry. Nothing related. You get more into the girly vibe, girly zone with that one. But cherry almondish floral, very beautiful.
Next, we have Zara Rich Foam Addictive. I'm not super fan always of Zara fragrance, but sometimes they do things amazingly. And this scent is a tobacco, but a very sweet one. It's beautiful. It's very creamy, has a beautiful projection, bit of coconut, you know, it's warm, it's delightful. I always got so much compliment with that fragrance, and ladies, this is in the men's range if you want to find it, but I highly advise you to try because it doesn't give you like the classic masculine gender thing like that. It's just very beautiful. Highly advise you to smell it. For the price, it's unbeatable. Right, so as the great YouTuber that I am, I forgot to film an intro, so you get my bunny Merlin eating bananas instead. I think that's great. If you've watched the video until the end, you can type the word power in the comments section. That would be hugely appreciated. And I will see you guys very soon. Yeah, oh, look at this little... Sorry, I'm melting. Have a lovely day.